Most people see cows as humble farm animals, kind of symbols of agriculture and rural life. But in the elite world of livestock breeding, dairy genetics and those high-stakes cattle shows, some cows are valued like rare treasures, auctioned for hundreds of thousands, even millions of dollars. Today we'll count down the 12 most expensive cows ever sold, starting with impressive six-figure show animals and ending with the record-breaking multi-million-dollar legends. Each of these cows has a story of genetics, prestige, and ambition. And the number one cow on this list sold for such a jaw-dropping figure, it actually changed the dairy industry forever. Our journey begins with an Angus show cow that sold for an eye-opening $125,000. Angus cattle are globally respected for their beef quality, known for tender cuts, rich marbling, and consistent performance. But when it comes to show cattle, it's not just about meat, it's about prestige. This particular Angus cow was a decorated champion, standing out at livestock competitions where judges scrutinize everything from symmetry to muscle tone. Her high price tag reflected the fact that she could transform an entire herd. Every embryo and calf she produced carried the potential to be another champion. In many ways, buying her was less about acquiring a cow and more about buying a legacy. At number 11, we move to Texas, where Longhorns are not just cattle, they're icons of Western heritage. One Longhorn cow became legendary when she sold for $160,000. What set her apart wasn't just her lineage, but her breathtaking horns, which curved and stretched to record-breaking lengths. Collectors and ranchers alike saw her as living art, the embodiment of the rugged frontier spirit. For buyers, she represented pride, status, and history all rolled into one. Owning her wasn't just about breeding. It was about making a statement. Her offspring would inherit not only her striking appearance, but also her cultural legacy as part of the American West. When we hear the word Wagyu, most of us think of the world's most expensive steaks, buttery cuts of beef served in luxury restaurants, sometimes costing hundreds of dollars for a single portion. But behind those steaks are the cows themselves, carefully bred over generations. One purebred Wagyu breeding cow in Japan sold for $200,000, a price that shocked many outside the cattle world. Yet for breeders, it made perfect sense. Each calf she could produce carried the potential for beef with extraordinary marbling, flavor, and tenderness. This cow wasn't destined for the dinner table. She was destined to shape the future of Wagyu beef. Her genetics were worth more than gold. The Hereford breed is one of the most recognizable in the world, known for its reddish-brown body and distinct white face. But when a Hereford cow already carrying multiple show titles came up for auction, she sold for an astonishing $250,000. What made her so valuable was the combination of beauty, balance, and bloodline. In the show ring, she had already proved her worth. On the farm, her embryos and calves promised to extend that legacy. Buyers weren't just purchasing an animal, they were purchasing prestige. The Hereford breed has long symbolized strength and reliability, and this champion cow represented the very best of that tradition. From the Western world, we travel to South America and Asia, where Brahman cattle dominate. Known for their distinctive hump, drooping ears, and ability to thrive in harsh, hot climates, Brahman cows are prized for resilience. But one elite Brahman cow sold for an incredible $300,000, making her one of the most expensive of her kind. Her bloodline was carefully engineered for both adaptability and strength. For buyers, she wasn't just valuable for her looks, but for her ability to breed cattle that could thrive in some of the world's toughest environments. In many regions, owning a Brahman like her was the ultimate status symbol, a sign of wealth, ambition, and foresight. Number 7 on our list takes us to the dairy world and one of its most legendary figures, Snowman, a Holstein bull whose genetics transformed dairy farming. Snowman's descendants are like royalty in the industry, and one of his female descendants was sold for $400,000. This wasn't just a cow, it was a piece of dairy history. Farmers and breeders who acquired her weren't just buying milk potential, They were buying unmatched genetics tied to a bull who, honestly, reshaped the modern dairy cow. For them, her calves represented both financial opportunity and a chance to be part of a bloodline that continues to influence dairy farms around the globe. Sometimes the youngest animals can carry the greatest promise. A calf directly descended from Eastside Louisdale Gold Missy, one of the most famous cows in the world, sold for $500,000. At such a young age, her value was already clear. As a descendant of Missy, she represented the future of elite dairy cattle breeding. Buyers were not just purchasing an animal, but a ticket to future generations of champions. Her bloodline alone guaranteed that she would shape the future of entire herds, making her price tag look less like an expense and more like an investment. In 2008, headlines were made in the dairy industry when a red Holstein named Apple sold for $1 million at an auction in Connecticut. Apple's value came from her rare red coloring, an unusual variation in the Holstein breed, combined with impeccable genetics. For breeders, she was a treasure. Not just for her beauty but for her potential to produce calves with equally rare and desirable traits. Her legacy continues today, with descendants of Apple still commanding high prices. Apple's $1 million sale reminded the world that rarity and pedigree can make even a barnyard animal as desirable as fine art. Fast forward to 2025 when the International Intrigue sale in Canada, absolutely shocked the dairy world with the sale of Allertine Avenger Design for $1 million. Known for her victories at the Royal Agricultural Winter Fair and the World Dairy Expo, she was already a superstar. But what made her priceless to breeders was her genetic package, offering the chance to pass down traits that judges and farmers. Her sale wasn't just a transaction, it was a statement about the growing prestige of dairy cattle. For her new owners, Avenger Design was both a champion and a foundation for future legends. Another Holstein, Savage Flash, also joined the exclusive $1 million club. While less known outside breeding circles, Savage Flash was revered within them. Her flawless structure, balanced proportions, and impeccable genetic background made her a star. More importantly, her embryos were incredibly valuable, with farmers around the world eager to integrate her bloodline into their herds. For her buyers, she represented not only prestige but a consistent source of income, as every embryo and calf tied to her carried elite traits. Savage Flash proved that in the dairy world, reputation and potential can be worth a fortune. If there's one name every dairy farmer knows, it's Missy. Back in 2009, she sold for an astonishing $1.2 million, instantly becoming a global sensation. Missy was more than just a cow, she was a phenomenon. With championship titles and unmatched genetics, she really was the epitome of perfection. Her calves and embryos sold for extraordinary sums, spreading her influence across farms worldwide. Even today she remains a legend, often compared to works of art or priceless artifacts. For many, Missy's $1 million sale was the turning point that proved cows could truly be worth fortunes. Finally, at number 1 we have the cow that shattered all records, Doc. In 2022, she sold for an unbelievable $1.9 million. What made Doc so extraordinary wasn't just her elite Holstein genetics, it was the entire package. Her sale included 40 pregnancies, basically guaranteeing future calves tied to her bloodline. For the buyer, this wasn't just one cow, it was the foundation of a dynasty. Doc represented the cutting edge of dairy genetics, combining science, prestige, and promise in a way no cow had before. Her sale remains the highest ever recorded, cementing her place as the most expensive cow in history. From show champions worth 6 figures to Holstein queens selling for nearly $2 million, these cows prove that in the world of elite breeding, livestock can become more valuable than luxury cars, mansions, or even yachts. Genetics, history, and prestige turn these animals into treasures, and their legacies continue shaping farms around the world. So tell me, which cow on this list surprised you the most? Would you ever believe a cow could be worth nearly $2 million? Drop your thoughts in the comments and don't forget to subscribe for more unbelievable discoveries.